It's often said that you never get a second chance at initial impressions, that once you met a person for the first time, you can't do it over again. Which is why developers and production houses spend millions of dollars on designing posters and covers. In a sea of media that are all individually designed to attract a potential audience, you need to have the ability to stand out at first glance. Whether through involved complexity or striking minimalism, there is only one goal: to get you to buy the book, the movie, video game, comic, manga, or what have you. With that in mind, one can only wonder what went through the heads of the people that designed this cover. There has to be a point to the DVD being laid out horizontally like this. I mean, this isn't another case of lazy thoughtlessness like most of the early Central Park Media DVDs, or even a case of outright lying like Strangelove. People made a conscious decision to flip the art sideways for some reason. True, it's eye-catching, but for no other reason than being so odd and esoteric a decision. No matter the method to the madness, though, the cover did do its job, though sacrificing intelligibility in the process. But does the anime itself warrant the same due consideration here? Fuck no. The Weathering Continent, aside from sounding like an H.P. Lovecraft story we never got, is a 1992 anime film that barely scrapes feature length, though it sure doesn't feel that short, I assure you. Based on a series of light novels of the same name, The Weathering Continent boasts a development crew of underlauded talent, including director Koichi Mashimo, director of Dominion Tank Police, Noir, and Dot Hack Sign, composer Michiru Oshima, who arranged Ico, the Suikoden series, and contributed to Fullmetal Alchemist, and character designer Nobuteru Yuki, who worked on Chrono Cross, Record of Lodoss War, and Angel Cop. Notwithstanding, we have some real talent working behind this film, so you'd think that it would make for at least an interesting watch. But as you will soon see, when it comes to art, there is no such thing as a guarantee. This is The Weathering Continent. We begin with a text crawl that explains that the titular Weathering Continent is Atlantis, and as one can quickly glean, it's seen better days. Since the entirety of the continent is a blasted-out wasteland, the only thing left to do to pass the time is wander. And for the first few minutes of the movie, that's all the characters do. Actually, if I'm being honest, it's kind of a good beginning. I go back to my points made about visual storytelling in my Lily Cat and Devilman reviews, about being able to convey a feeling and mood without relying on dialogue, and how this is sorely missing in many an anime, both at the time and today. Honestly, what better way to get across the notion of desolation like sparse dialogue and appropriate music? And then they start talking.
What a tragedy this is.
They didn't have to go and smash the water barrel. Man, oh man.
Do you suppose this was the work of a gang of desert raiders or bandits?
No, this is different.
Oh?
They'd have no interest in attacking people with nothing to steal.
Look, it's not the actor's fault. Oh, by the way, hi Veronica Taylor and Mark DeRison. It's just that these characters have nothing to them. I know it's just the beginning of the movie and there hasn't been enough time for the audience to get to know these three, not that they ever will, considering this is only 50 minutes long, but I assure you that character depth goes no further than what you have just witnessed. Trust me, as we move on, you'll get it. The still air is broken by the shriek of a frenzied urchin attempting to attack our three heroes, but it seems that the kid is badly wounded and the three tend to him. Though they share what little water they had left, it's too little too late and the kid passes on.
A kid like that should never have gone on such a dangerous trip.
Lakshi.
What?
Lakshi. This person was a woman.
What? From today on, I am not just a woman anymore.
No, the editor didn't fall asleep on the Avid machine. That was supposed to be character development you just saw. I've seen subliminal messages with more lasting impact. Life stops for no man, or girl it seems, as the three continue on in their search for water when Guts, Boyce, stops the three, suspecting water is nearby.
What is it, T.A.?
Water. There's water here.
And hey, maybe there's enough water for the two of you to have a homoerotic splash fight. No, I will not let this go. Actually, I'd welcome an out-of-place fangirl baiting scene right about now, because then at least something character-driven would happen. But these three wooden posts are more lifeless than the blighted landscape they're traipsing around in. Proto-Guts here is especially dull, as nearly every line of dialogue out of his mouth is this pseudo-warrior poet babble, delivered with all the personality and presence as a trank-darted bear.
Men die as well as women. We all end up returning to the earth.
Say what you will about Guts' propensity for introspection and such, at least that wasn't all he was, and even managed to exhibit some boastful moments from time to time.
So there are still 50 of you left standing. At this rate, it'll be dawn before I can crack open all of your skulls.
Proto-Guts, meanwhile, only swings his sword for the entirety of the anime 2 times. How do you do that? Regardless, the vague, hazy promise of water is enough for the three to enter a long-since-buried catacomb. However, unbeknownst to any of them, they're not alone, as a band of cutthroats has been searching inside these ruins for an ancient treasure.
The treasure in the temple comes before everything else. Understood, Lord Rackham.
A long, protracted wooden creak. Yep, that is totally what a stone door opening would sound like. The anime is filled with these weird sound engineering quirks like this that baffle me. For instance, did you catch how the background music just cuts out in the clip I just showed you? Or how about the way the character's dialogue keeps getting drowned out by the ambient music?
Ozexistra was once a prospering city that lay in this area until 400 years ago. They had a rich agriculture and trade industry and precious gems that could be mined from the foot of Mount Higher. They were a people who never knew war.
I think I get it. That's how they could afford to make this amazing tomb, huh?
Okay, I know I don't have the best sound in the world, but even I know that if your characters are going to mumble out their lines, don't have your music loud enough for an outdoor concert. So Mumbles here explains to the other two that they stumbled upon an ancient tomb that holds the final resting places for the well-to-do citizens of a long-dead city. Again, honestly speaking, I kind of like this idea. It's theatrical, it's grandiose, and most importantly, it gives the anime a much-needed sense of individuality. Even though most of the anime so far has been plain to look at, as is the case for your prototypical wasteland narrative, this change in scenery does a lot to set this movie apart. Still, the film can't have its merits without finding some way to undermine itself. In the lead up to this revelation, Ketchum here wanders off and finds some of the corpses clad in their finery. However, she's found unconscious with one of their masks in hand. So the only explanation of what happened could be that she took the mask off and fainted from the sight of a dead body. But if that were true, then she'd be lying in the opposite way she's found in. So, what happened? Remember, this is an animated feature, which means they didn't simply just forget which way was which. They had to consciously plan for this continuity error to happen. We just can't have nice things, can we, movie? Mumble's exposition train stops at the tried and true "this place is cursed, touch nothing but the lamp" junction, and the cutthroats finally catch up with them.
See, I told you she's a real beauty. You weren't kidding. But didn't we see this group with the people we killed earlier this afternoon?
And shouldn't I be training with King Kai right now?
We're just travelers. We were hoping you could give us some water.
We could give some to the girl, but we're not wasting our water on men.
Please, stop. We don't want to fight you.
What you say? That you only meant well, 'cause you did.
I know the joke is old as dirt, but try and tell me that this isn't one of the greatest nut shots in history. Look at the way she just halts his forward momentum, stopping him dead in mid-fucking-air. Look how he hangs there for a beat before dropping like a sack of bowling balls. He even bounces off the stone steps like he was taking a stunner, as if he wasn't in enough pain already. I haven't seen a more brutal nut shot in anime since Black Lagoon. The three managed to give the bandits the slip, but there are more pressing matters at hand.
What exactly is this curse, anyway?
I have no idea, but I can tell you that whatever it is, not even one person has ever come out of here alive to tell the world what he has seen. There is no entrance, and it appears there is no exit.
You know, except for the massive crack in the wall you guys used to enter the tombs in the first place. Why can't you use that again? Looks like Ketchum sprung the world's most convenient and yet somehow most arduous to actually spring trapdoor in the history of the world. Proto-Guts volunteers to go after Ketchum because climbing down a seemingly bottomless pit? Capital idea if I ever heard one. Meanwhile, Mumble stays put and casts his spells, I suppose.
What the hell's that woman doing?
Is it a ghost?
It's hard to believe something that beautiful is real.
She's the beauty legends are made of.
Wait. Are you trying to tell me that Mumbles is a she? Is there such thing as reverse transpanic? This makes no sense to me whatsoever. Unless this is a doctor-girlfriend situation, Mumbles' voice is distinctly male, and that's the only thing remotely distinctive about it. And it's not like the thugs are just assuming that this feminine figure in front of them has to be a woman, because they correctly guessed that Ketchum was a woman too, even though Mumble and Proto-Guts think she's a guy.
Please follow him, boys. I'm very worried for his safety. Please go after him while I remain here and take care of the guards.
Maybe they're just one for two, but that still doesn't explain why this anime has such a fascination with gender bending. It's certainly brought up a lot for something that has no bearing on anything that's happening in the story. It's just another one of this anime's quirks that goes nowhere. Capping off this little detour of ours, I have to ask, how entrenched in the anime aesthetic am I that I immediately look at this character design and think, dude? Of course, the bandit leader doesn't heed Mumble's warning and opens the Ark of the Covenant, releasing the curse and getting himself and all his minions killed. Boy, he was just the dictionary definition of useless, wasn't he? He didn't even need our three heroes to try and stop him from taking the treasure because he would have wound up dead regardless if they were even there or not. Kind of like the Nazis in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Or the Nazis in The Last Crusade. Or the Communists in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Temple of Doom gets way too much shit. With the bandits killed, the cursed masks move on to our three heroes because one intruder might as well be another. Despite Mumbles throwing up the horns and summoning the one true Dio, the curse is much too strong for either member. And, to add insult to injury, one of the masks decides to play mind games with Ketchum, and we're dragged once again through her past, where she basically pulls a dagger from Final Fantasy IX and leaves home. The whole point of this seems to be to get Ketchum to give up and die, but at the last moment she snaps back to her senses.
Lakshi, why didn't you? I just couldn't do it!
I get what they're trying to do, drawing a parallel between Ketchum's inability to break the habit of life cast against a hopeless setting, but it just rings hollow. What the anime presents is an idea of a story, the barest semblance of a story, but nothing that actually makes a story. There are beats, sure, and there are flashes of character history, but they're spread so thinly over a plot that has so far been nothing but an ambling, meandering jaunt through pointlessness, so it all has the impact of a goddamn spitball. If your point is pointlessness, find another point. To top off the frustration, the girl from the beginning appears again as a spirit and saves the three from the death masks, only for her to fuck off again with the curse still alive and well, ready for another stab at killing the three. Well, thanks a bunch, sweetheart. Couldn't stay a little longer to make sure the people you tried to save are still safe? Or do you think you might have left the stove on in the afterlife?
Excuse me, but boys, I need you to free me from my bonds. You're a lifesaver.
How the fuck did that knife not pierce his shoulder? And why the fuck is Mumble so calm after Proto-Guts threw a goddamn knife at him? So Mumble says a few quick chants and the floor falls out from under them. Somehow. Mumbles then theorizes that they could get out of the ruins if they followed this new underground cavern, even though he said that there is no entrance or exit from these ruins.
Seita haimura yaita rebecum shuzmura!
Oh, come on! You could have cast the warp spell at any time during this adventure! Why the fuck didn't you do this sooner? So now that we know this anime has been dicking us around with inconsequential bullshit, it wraps everything up in a neat little bow by having our heroes emerge back onto the surface in the exact same spot they began this underground adventure. Fuck you too, movie. You know, it's fairly easy to come down hard on this movie, what with its general pointlessness, its listless plot, and barely there characters. But oddly enough, I see merit within it. Though not much of anything happens, the way the anime is able to capture mood and atmosphere with its use of music and visuals is a truly commendable feat. Still, that doesn't mean it's a worthwhile watch on the whole, and I would never recommend it to someone, even if they just wanted to kill an hour. But, at the very least, I can say it did have goals and it tried to achieve them. Were they goals worthy of achieving in the first place, though? Well, it's kind of hard to justify making a point about pointlessness, because, after all, what does that prove? Well, that was a time waster if I ever saw one. I think it's time for us to rear back a little bit and cover an anime that I should have gotten to a long time ago. Till next time.
Long live your Lord High Regent Sage! Long live Benetopia!